Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
All of our guests today are brought to you by, and that includes Ian Furness standing by, wearing his Tyler Myers jersey. Brought to you by the Bayside Oceanfront Resort. Christmas in the air at the Bayside this holiday season, which means there are deals to be had. Must call and book directly through the hotel. From everyone at the Bayside, they wish you and yours a joyful holiday season. Call 250-248-8333. Doug from Nanaimo, Delaney's OK Tire and Langley inbox. Fun fact, I used to be a fisherman for many years, and we used to call stew Southeast soup. Meaning on many rainy, windy days, stew is the dish to go. It survived on the stove in the rough weather in a big, big pot. Doug from Nanaimo, a big fan of stew. Maybe Doug can text in and tell us how he feels about chili. I have no idea how to blend into the next the next item on our show here. Ian Furness joining us from KJR Sports Radio, Fox 13 Sports, Seahawks 6-6. In San Francisco on Sunday. Ian, thanks for doing this. How are you? Do you like stew?
I love stew. I love chili. I love chowder. I'm in on all that stuff. I don't like the watery soups, chicken noodle or whatever. That's just an absolute. I think it's like the thing at the start of your show. It's like a cucumber. It's just an absolute waste of time. It just really is. So let's go. You're going to go that route. You better go heavy and hard. And by the way, I hope you're management at the Donnie and Dolly show at Czech Television understand how popular a show you are, and I can tell you that from this experience of 7 days ago when Ryan posted a couple things up on the old X Twitter thing, and I heard from a lot of your listeners. Let's just say that a lot of you, and God bless all of you. Really nice people, like a really nice demographic of folks up there.
We've heard from them too, Ian. Okay, so for people who don't know, you were critical of Tyler Myers and what he's been up to versus the Kraken the last couple of years. And I guess our viewers and listeners let you have it. What can you tell us? What can you tell us about the response you got from Canuck Nation?
They're passionate. They are even if they don't like a guy, since it's kind of like the brother sister thing, right? Like I can beat up my brother or sister, but you can't, right? So I found that out, and that's good. It's good to know. It's good knowledge. It's not going to back off. He's still a big dummy, but that's okay. We move on.
Well, that's the funny part, is that you were critical of Tyler Myers. You know who else was critical of Tyler Myers? Everybody who follows the Canucks.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah,
usually, anyway. Yeah,
it's a brother-sister thing. The big giraffes up there, looking around like anyway. But and then they got the big Russian to go with him now, right? Zadorov, right? So you got another one. It's like the Twin Towers up there. So yeah, listen, that gimmick never worked in the WWE. It's not going to work in the NHL. So
okay. College football, if you don't mind. I know it's not Washington State that's still alive in the playoffs. It's Washington. But 13-0 as we move down south a little bit further. 13-0 Florida State out of the college football postseason, despite the fact they're 13-0. Do people in your neck of the woods care about that thing? Is it a controversy there, even though Washington has made it through?
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting because you know how sports fans think. I think we're all a little deeper thinkers than maybe are given credit for sometimes. Yeah, Washington fans care, I think, because they wanted to see Florida State as opposed to who they're going to see in Texas and Steve Sarkisian. It could have been a Florida State matchup, although I guess the other side of it could have been Alabama. So, listen, it's a flawed system, guys. Honestly, it's a really flawed system. If what you do on the field means absolutely nothing, and that's what this proves, it means nothing what you did on the field for Florida State. I find it interesting, like Florida State's, listen, they're not Alabama or Michigan or Ohio State, but they're really close in terms of how they're perceived in the States. I mean, they're a borderline blue blood program, and so for them to kind of get shoved aside like they're a nothing burger is both comical, but also maybe something that, I'd say it causes change. We got a 12-team playoff next year. It's last year, the 14 playoff. But if you want to just, on the personal side, listen, I mean, you guys have coached, you've played, you've been around sports. I feel for the athletes. I mean, those kids did everything. They busted their tails. They went 13-0. They played a really tough non-conference schedule. They played 2 SEC teams, Florida, which they play every year, and then they also went to LSU. They deserve to be in the playoff. There's no doubt about it. So But Washington's in. They get Sark after dark, their old coach in Texas. It should be a heck of a matchup.
Ian, the Seahawks have lost 3 straight. The Rams have won 3-0. This is going to be amazing down the stretch. You got the Vikings, Packers, Rams, Seahawks, all at 6-6. 4 teams, 2 playoff spots. How do you see it playing out?
Well, Seattle's in trouble. They're in trouble. The Seahawks are in trouble. There's no doubt. Their schedule is tougher than the Packers. It's tougher than the Rams. They're going to have to find a way to win a game along the way that they wouldn't expect, which means they either win this week in San Francisco or they win at home on what is now a Monday night game against the Philadelphia Eagles. They're in trouble. They're reeling. They have to. For a long time, it looked like 9 wins would get you in the NFC playoffs as a wild card. It looks like it's going to be at least 10 now to get one of those 3 wild card spots. And to try to count to 10 wins for Seattle, the only way you do it is by beating one of the 2 teams, because you got 5 to go. You got 3 after that are all winnable. You play at home against Pittsburgh, in Tennessee against the Titans on Christmas Eve, and then you go down to Arizona to take on the Arizona Cardinals. You've got to win those 3. If you win those 3, that gets you to 9 wins. But I don't know if 9 wins is going to be good enough this year, guys. I think they're going to have to find a way to win one of these next 2.
Well, if your football team's in trouble, your hockey team is in trouble as well. They lost their 5th straight last night. They went on that 4-game Eastern trip, lost all 4. What's going on there?
Never led after a period, trailed after the first period in every game. Do you notice I'm wearing my La Habitante, my Montreal Canadiens colors today? Paying tribute to the great Canadiens. Yes, I did. Rough one last night. Cornwall was flying up and down the wing, and Dryden was fantastic in goal. And, what can you do when you're going against guys like Gainey and Savard? It was a tough one last night for the Kraken. Listen, man, they're also in trouble. I can't paint a good picture of what's going on outside of UW football down here in Seattle sports. Yeah. By the way, the Mariners traded away a corner outfielder who was supposed to be a cornerstone of their rebuild, basically because they had to throw him in there to get salary cap or to get salary dump away with Marco and Evan White. So yeah, it's not fun down here right now. But the hockey team, we actually use a comparison to the Mariners. The Mariners had the season of 2 years ago, when they went to the playoffs, they broke the 21-year streak. And they did so, and then the next year, they added, Teo Hernandez, but that was it. That's the only player they added. They added Teo and nothing else, a bunch of slappies that are like the equivalent of a 4th-line player in hockey. Kraken kind of did the same thing. They went to the playoffs, go 14 games, 2 series, both in 7, upset Colorado, do all that. And they did nothing in the offseason, guys. They did absolutely nothing. Your GM's made, what is it now, 5 trades in season, yes. 8 been there. Our guy doesn't do that. His last major addition, because I don't consider anything they did in the offseason to be major, and they downgraded. I know Soucy's hurt, but Dumoulin's a downgrade from Soucy. The 4th line, which contributed mightily to their success, and especially when guys get banged up, guys can go up and down. Yamamoto's probably an upgrade over Sprong. Everything else is a downgrade on the 4th line. Goaltending's been just okay. Grubauer was good last night, but it's been just okay. And they just stood put, stand pat, and they just didn't do anything. And it's frustrating, I think. It's frustrating for those of us that saw a team that was maybe like a couple pieces away from really taking that next step. And instead of doing that, they just kind of basically we'll wait and see how this thing plays out. And they didn't add anything last year, and you're seeing what's happened to them now, because last year their shooting percentage was the second best in the league, behind only Edmonton, about 11%, something like that. This year it's at 7, or near the bottom of the league. Goals for per game, they're 29th in the NHL. They're just not scoring, and they make. I don't know if you saw the highlights last night. Alexiak's turnover for the first goal was about as egregious and as lazy a play as you can make as a defenseman. So, yeah, it's been a tough go down here.
Yeah, we feel for you. Yeah, tough 2.5 years.
Yeah, no,
tough 2.5 years. Yeah.
I know. I feel the love and I feel the compassion coming down from you guys. I just feel it in my heart right now, don't I?
Hey, one other thing. You talked about criticizing Tyler Myers, and I think I know the answer to this. But what is the problem everybody down there has, yourself included, with Jamal Adams? Back to the Seahawks.
Oh, he's listen. Did you see the social media post?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, first of all, he's having a horrible season, statistically, and then you have to ask guys that are film guys, our ex-quarterback Hugh Millen, and other like that. Like, are my eyes seeing the same thing you're seeing? And that's a guy that's being paid a ton of money and is making no impact. And the answer is yes. turns down tackles, can't cover. His pass coverage skills as a safety is among the worst in the league. Pro Football Focus is the analytical site, and if you look at their grades, he's bad against the run, he's bad against the pass, doesn't have a sack, doesn't have a pass defense, yet he'll jump around and make a tackle 10 yards down the field for a first down, jump around like he just made a stop in the Super Bowl to win the game. I mean, it's just, and I think what he did on social media just crosses a line. We joke about it all the time. In all honesty, your listeners are the best. I look forward to this every week because the interaction's fun and they're passionate and it's fun and it's good natured. Even if Tyler, anyway, but it's all good natured. Jamal Adams went after someone's spouse on social media.
Crossed the line.
He took the time to go find a picture of this young lady and put it out there. And the term "yikes," she did nothing to deserve that. And by the way, is a very attractive woman. I think we would all agree. And so, so part of that, you just go, well, you're just a fool for doing that, but it doesn't matter. That you just don't do that. And then he went after another reporter, called him Mr. Potato Head, which, whatever. Listen, we're in the public eye. You guys get called stuff. I get called stuff. I'll check my mentions here in 10 minutes and see all kinds of fun stuff. Yep. That's part of the business. She did nothing to deserve that. And that knucklehead went out there and did that. And I just think it's absolutely – I think the NFL should have fined him. Yeah. Honestly, they fine you for everything. They fine you for your uniform being untucked, a football play, socks, whatever. But you're going to allow that National Football League? Unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. I mean, this town is ready for him to leave. Unfortunately, the contract probably makes it where he doesn't go anywhere, and it's a sunken cost with the draft picks and the contract. It was it was easily the worst move John Schneider and Pete Carroll ever made personnel-wise.
Outstanding, Ian. Not outstanding about Jamal Adams, but great hit today. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
Gentlemen, have a great week. La habitant. Let's go.
Okay, exactly. Hey, I listen, I know we're over time here, but just the fact that the Kraken were playing in Montreal against the Habs, I just thought that's just – I know they've done it before.
Hey, yeah. No, man, for a guy that grew up here, we've talked about this. For a guy who grew up here watching Hockey Night in Canada with my grandfather, 45 years ago, that was cool.
Pretty special.
I wish it would have been the Forum as opposed to Bell Center, but nevertheless, it was still great and cool to see. And, that was kind of my second team growing up. I was a Canucks fan and a Habs fan growing up because my grandfather liked Toronto, so we had to bet a soda every week on that. So, and, of course, he loved Toronto because everyone does besides us, right?
Yeah, you got that right. Next week, Ian, thanks so much.